Alright, so now what we're going to be doing is tearing everything off of the intake, getting it cleaned, and then taking apart the head, getting all the gasket material off and stuff, and getting that cleaned so then we can start putting everything back together. Coming along good. Alright, so now with the block all primed and ready for paint, what I'm going to do is let that dry. Have to decide what color we want to go with on the block, and while I'm figuring that out, we're going to take apart the head, take the valves out, we're going to do a valve job, and I'll show you how to pull the valves out of the head here. Okay, all you need is this tool from Harbor Freight. It's 30 bucks, 40 bucks, something like that. This bad boy works real good. So you basically just set it to kind of almost where it'll push on it, and this locks in and pushes the valves. I took this one off so I can kind of show you before I go and do it. So in here, it'll focus for me. Come on. There we go. All right, you see these little grooves right here? That's where your keeper is. It holds this in and pushes this spring down. So what you do is you basically take tension off of the spring by pushing, or take tension off of the valve and the keeper by pushing this down. Pull the keeper out, and then everything slides out. And this is an exhaust valve. It's smaller than the intake valve. So we're going to pull each one off, keep them in order, and we're going to basically hand grind the cylinder head with these. We got Juan. So you take this side right here, goes against the valve. This goes against the keeper. Try and show you inside of there if I can. So you can see right here, it's pushing it down, and now the keeper is loose. So we're going to pull that out, and then everything will slide out nice and easy. It really helps if you have a magnet. I can't find mine. Okay, so got them out right there. How to use this magnet, but we're going to go through, take them all out, and then I'll show you how we do a valve job. There's those two. Almost there. Luckily, this is only a single overhead cam 4-cylinder. So, you know, this is quick compared to doing like something like a 2J or, you know, something like a Coyote engine. What do Coyotes have? 8 times 4, or do they have 32 valves? Or maybe it's only 2, maybe it's 16, but even still. Sheesh. Can't tell if somebody machined these heads. Very interesting. It looks like there's been port work done inside of these. Very, very interesting. They seem to be very straight too. I mean, you can't really tell by eye, but you know, from taking them out, you can usually tell the valve is bent if it doesn't want to come out very easily. And these are coming out wonderfully. Probably shouldn't speak too soon, but you know. This back down. Still seals nice. See just how dirty. A lot of carbon on this guy. And there's a ridge too, quite a ridge of carbon buildup. This one looks like it's got nice even wear. But if I grab the other one, you can see this guy. See if you can see. Watch right here. You can see the color changes. See how it's silver dark? That means that it's sealing unevenly and exhaust gases are getting out one side preferential than the others, I believe. But yeah. Alright, let me get this head outside and I'll show you the intake ports. So you can see. Look inside there. Try and turn it down a little so you can see it better. But if you look, all that's machined to be perfectly shaped. So I'm wondering if that's stock or if somebody paid to have this machine head poured, because this engine was in very good shape. So I'm not sure. Pretty interesting. But now we are going to start lapping some valves after I get this all cleaned up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lap the heads. What's cool about Volvo is they actually label the valves. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the valve, the intake and exhaust are different sizes. So it makes it very easy to do this. So we're just going to flip it over. Yeah, right there. So you can see, so this is number 4. 3, 2, 1. So we'll just take our here. I'm gonna clean these just a little bit on the edges because it's like kind of dirty. You can see like a lot of carbon. So I'm just gonna kind of scrub it clean quick. Little nylon brush or whatever. We'll clean these off nice and easy. It's got at least most of the carbon off of it. And then you have your valve grinding compound, which is this stuff right here. What I'm going to do is just coat all of them with a little bit. So we're just going to go kind of around here. You're going to have to clean this head very, very good after you're done. Because this stuff, I mean, it's literally like liquid sandpaper. It'll get into absolutely everything. So you kind of just put some on the seats. Don't need an absolute ton. Comes out pretty heavy, so. Okay, take our intake valve, pop her in. And this guy, you can use a little Vaseline or some oil to kind of help them stick to the valves, because sometimes they don't like to. But should be good. Alright, you're just going to go up and down and left and right with it. So you just want to go like... And you're just going to get a nice even wear. You can actually hear it. And then once I do one, I'll show you the before and after of the seats. So I'm just gonna get these done and then yeah. Okay, so you can hopefully, I don't know if you can see this or not though. Let me see. Alright, see that line around there? You can see how it's starting to wear. It'll focus on the goddamn thing. But it's starting to wear into the valve seat. You can kind of see it polishing. And you want it to be right up to where the old line was, because there's two different angles on valves. I don't remember, it's like a 35.7 and a 45 degree or something along those lines. But you want this to wear right up to where you start seeing wear on the other angle on the valve, so it seals good. So I still got a little ways to go. You'll kind of, you can't see on the video, but in person you can see your carbon wear line kind of right up to the other angle, and you'll kind of know when you're at the right angle, when it's like worn in properly. So I'm gonna add a little more valve compound. You don't really need to add a ton of this stuff because it wears into a finer grit. So as you use it, you can listen to it. It'll start wearing into a finer grit, and that's how you polish it. So it's like it starts at like, you know, I don't know exactly what grit, but like say a 220, and then it'll wear itself into like a 600 grit. So you can just keep using the same stuff. It's actually better that way. And you want to try and keep, as best you can, keep this stuff out of the valve stem channel, because you don't want that to get stuff in there and be polished.
Unfortunately, my audio died again. So, yeah. You know, enjoyed the painting process of all of the engine block and the valve cover and everything, listening to some lo-fi. And then once I'm back to assembling the motor, the audio is back in. My apologies.
Okay, so so now that everything's all cleaned and prepped, I went through, cleaned everything with microfiber, so there's no lint or like gunk on anything. The whole block is cleaned, painted, it's ready to go. So what we're going to do now is put in the main bearings and the crankshaft and the caps, and then we'll do pistons and connecting rods. And what you're going to want to do is have some assembly lube, and I'll show you one in the block. All right, so when you put these in, we're gonna go from the front of the engine, which is 1, to the back, which is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what you want is the surface on, like if you look right here, this is where your bearing sits. You want this to be completely dry, oil-free. You want nothing on there, no lint, no anything. And then your bearing, which is this, you want this surface to also be clean, no lint, no oil, no anything. And it presses in to a little clip. So I'm going to put that in. You just line it up nice. Boom. Easy. Then I'm going to go through and do the rest of them. I'll try and show you this one. Get a little closer look for you. It's good to carry a microfiber with you so you don't get lint on stuff. You want lintless, which is nice. So I'm just cleaning, making sure there's no oil or gunk on this bearing. Wipe off bearing surface. And push her in. And then before we oil these, we'll go back through and we'll wipe everything down again. This is the most important part to be clean with. Okay, so I'll try and show you with number 3 bearing. On this engine, the thrust washers, or thrust bearings, I guess, are on the number 3 bearing. They're not on the end like the later B230s. All right, so let me try and get you a little closer in here. Okay, so you can see this guy right here, this little guide. You want your bearing to sit in there. It kind of just slides in and it sits nice and flush. So they're all flat. Just like that. You do that for all of them. There you go. You can see how great a shape these bearings are in. If you're going to reuse bearings like I am doing, make sure you keep them in the exact same spot they came out of, because they've already kind of been worn into each other, and you want that wear to be maintained. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is get the crankshaft cleaned up really well, and we're going to put assembly lube in the bearing surface. You can use assembly lube or like really heavy, thick, weighted oil will work too. You just want something in there so there's no metal on metal rubbing while you're rotating the assembly and torquing things down. So we'll get that all cleaned up and prepped and put in there. So I changed my mind. First, I'm going to get my auxiliary shaft installed because there's a lot of space in there without the crankshaft for me to like kind of feed it through, kind of like a camshaft on a V8. So we're going to get these all cleaned up, get as much stuff off as possible, get all the bearing surfaces nice and clean. And this is an auxiliary shaft off of the later model B230 with the front mount alternator. I mean, no, not alternator, distributor, because I don't want the rear mounted one. So with all these bearings nice and clean, what we're going to do, take some assembly lube. We're going to go and lube up the bearings and this. So this is what I use. Ultra Slick is what I've had good luck with. Built all of my engines with this stuff, except for my rotaries. Rotaries I do a little bit differently. Now, is this a new bottle? Okay, so put a little bit on your finger. Don't need a lot of this. This stuff goes a long fucking ways, and you just want to coat. You don't want shit on it though. Try and make sure you're, good clean work area. Look at that fucking shit. But it's fine. Get everything lubed up. More the merrier. Okay. So now Have this guy all lubed up. I'm gonna try and get the camera set up over there. Okay, I think I should set up. Now, go through a little bit on all of the bearings. Want this nice and lubricated. I'm trying not to get any on your mating surfaces for your main caps. Don't want that lubed up. Okay, now that all that's lubed, grab our gear. Okay. Now we very gently feed this through. And all of these bearings are different sizes as well. So you gotta just kind of be slow with it. Be nice if I had a rubber mallet, huh? I just try and rotate it. And then grab a wooden mallet and try and tap her in. You do not want to do too much force because you can crack your bearings. You just want to tap it in. And there we go. Beautiful, nice and in. So you can see there's almost no restriction when I rotate it. Now you don't want to do this too much because you don't want your assembly lube to wear out, but I'm just going to leave it there. So that is in. So now all we can do is clean the crank and get the crank in here. So I'm going to do first, since I have you right here, we're just going to put some assembly lube on the bearings. And just make sure the whole bearing surface is coated very nicely. This is probably my favorite thing about working on cars. I love building engines. This is the most therapeutic, relaxing, because you've already done all the hard work. Everything's cleaned and gone through. Now it's just putting stuff together. It's like Bob Ross, right? Instead of painting bushes and mountains, we're, making horsepower. Nice. Beautiful. So everything is coated nice. Get the crank, get that cleaned up, make sure there's no on the edges there. Wipe your hands. Okay, so we have our crank. One thing, definitely buy like a bag of these guys, so you can just keep cleaning as you go, because you don't want to be trying to clean with these things or like paper towels, because it doesn't work very good. So we have our thrust washers. Clean those up. Clean this up. All the bearing surfaces to be nice and pretty. Do now is get these installed. Get them clean too. Here. Thrust bearings. Don't know why I keep calling them bearings. I mean washers. And I call them the right thing when I don't mean to. And again, just like the normal bearings, you want the bearing surface to be lubricated, but not the back of it. So you want to make sure there's no oil on the back of these. So I'll show you how these are installed. You can't install them wrong because they have locating pins. So you'll see there's like a space for it to sit on the side here. And then it just locks itself in. And the exact same on this side. There's only one spot that they can go. So there you go. Big, honking thing goes back here. That's where your clutch and flywheel mount to, and where the rear main seal goes. So we'll take that. Very gently. There we go. And then we're going to put assembly lube on all the bearings and spin it just a little bit so that everything gets coated. But remember not to get it on your caps. Do not want it on there. Okay. Give her another good rotation. You can kind of see how the oil actually lays too. You can see the path that it takes from the bearing, which is kind of cool. Okay, and one trick too, what's cool with the Volvos is they actually give you an arrow pointing in the direction. So in labeled 1, it'll have a weird little like teardrop shaped arrow thing pointing which way that these face. So you want the arrow facing out, just like that. We'll go through, pop all these bad boys on there. Bolt. Bolt. Now we're not torquing these down yet. Just going to go through and put all the caps on, get them located, and then we'll go through the torque sequence. So I'm going to put those all on, and then we'll go through the torques. Now with everything finger tight, just give it a rotate. Just feel it, because you want to make sure that there's no binding anywhere. It just feels nice and smooth. You just watch it rotate. Everything feels perfect. So now what we're going to do is get the pistons prepped, get all those in. And you can see right here, 110 Newton meters to 81 foot-pounds. Start from the center, work your way out. So we're going to tighten those down. Alright, starting at 40 and working our way out. So I get some pressure on these first before we start torquing anything. Kind of just want to feel the bolts sort of snugged up. So I want everything to clamp down evenly. Okay, so now we'll start torquing up to 40 first. And then once everything's tightened to 40, we'll rotate it around once fully. Okay, everything is torqued to 40. See how she rotates. Rotates very nicely. No, doesn't feel like any hard spots at all. It's a very nice, smooth rotation. All right. So now we go up to 81. This is where having a friend help sometimes is nice. And then just once more. Make sure. Beautiful. Now let's see how it rotates. No binding. Nope. Beautiful. Very smooth. Okay, so now what we can do is install the pistons. I like to do pistons first, then the oil pump, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in here and torque stuff if this whole assembly's here. So we're going to prep the pistons and call it good. Okay, same as before. Make sure the bearing mating surfaces are nice and dry and clean. Degreaser and a microfiber. What's nice about these also is they're all numbered and labeled, so you can't install them in the wrong place unless you're not paying attention, which is really nice. I don't know if you can see it or not, but see how it's labeled too, and the cam caps are also labeled too. I mean, the bearing caps are also labeled too, so it makes it very easy to install. So we're gonna get these completely cleaned up. And I have a new box of bearings for these because these ones weren't in the greatest shape. So we'll put these suckers in. Brand new bearings for the connecting rods. Should be good to go. And I'm just gonna wash everything down, get any of the grease off of it. And these pop in exactly the same as the main caps. Just line up the guide and pop right in. Make sure they're flush. Easy peasy. Okay, so now you can see all the caps have the new bearings in, all the pistons have their new bearings in. So now I'm going to put assembly lube on all of these surfaces and these, and again avoid putting any grease or anything on the mating surfaces of the caps. And then we're going to install cylinder 1 through 4 in the block. Okay, now those are all loops. We're going to start with 1, go to 4. Put it at bottom dead center like that. Makes it much easier to get the cap on after the piston's in. Okay, so cylinder 1, we're going to put the piston in the compressor. Okay, so we have our spring compressor tool, and it goes over the piston, and you want your tool out up top. You want to be able to get to it. So you put it like this, and then you just tighten her up. You only need to compress the rings. You don't need to compress the like the rest of the piston. So just compress where the rings are, and just tighten her up. Okay. That's on there. Now you want the numbers. One thing I forgot to mention, actually, so I took this apart so I could show you this. So you want your gaps to be 120 degrees out of each other. So you want one like here, here, and here. So like compression ring, put it like right there. Oil scraper ring, right there, and then that. Your secondary compression ring, like that. So you kind of just have it. They do rotate a bit inside the motor, but you just kind of want it to sit like that. So you have like basically a triangle. It helps to raise your compression, so you're not like losing gas if you have all the holes, all the ring gaps aligned. Okay, so when installing the pistons, so I just read it in the book, you want the identification number facing the oil filter side. So you want your connecting rod to go in with the number facing this way. And then just gently tap it down. And you might have to rotate and look just to verify that it's lining up properly. Okay, so it's a little bit turned, so we'll turn it that way. Perfect. Okay. So now, keep tapping it in. If you feel any resistance at all, make sure to stop and check. So now, have that off. Piston is in there. Now what we need to do is align it with the crank. And you just want to be very gentle and bring it down slow. And there we go. Piston's in, so we'll rotate it and put the cap on. Now put some assembly lube on there. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Again, number one, the identification number faces the oil filters. Now that we're upside down, oil filters on this side. So we put these on, just like that. And on your bolt, just leave a very slight oil on it, very, very slight. It just helps to torque them down a little easier. And I keep all the bolts in the same exact spot they came out of. So this bolt was in the side with the identification numbers. I keep it there. If you do too much oil on them, you can crack stuff because it'll hydrolock and then basically be like hydraulic pressure, crack stuff. You don't want to do that. And what I'm going to do, if it's uncomfortable for some people, it's fine. But what I'm going to do is get these kind of tight. Just down on there. Just finger tight. Now because cylinder 4 is at bottom dead center because it's the same as 1 and then 2 and 3 are there. I'm going to do this one next and then rotate it and then do 2 and 3. You don't have to. You can do it directly in order and rotate it. It doesn't really matter. This is just less rotations on the engine for me without oil, which makes me happier. Rotate the engine back over. Make sure you're double checking every time, because now the oil filter is on this side, so now we got to put the number facing that way. Beautiful. Alright, so now down here everything is installed. I'm gonna call it for the video for now. In the next video we'll go through and install the head, the valves, get all the timing done, all the new timing gears to kind of start putting the engine together. I figure I'll show you this. You can see some compression. Not too bad for a in your garage hone job, and you know, clean up pistons and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment, whatever. Have a good one.